On May 11th, our revolution, and we'll be showing a video of the Battle of Algiers. On June 8th, our theme is the role of youth and students in liberation, and we'll be showing the spook who sat by the door. Okay, we also urge you to keep your eyes and ears out for African Liberation Day. We'll be coming up in May, on May 22nd, so keep that day open on your calendars. It's a very important day for us to organize and to politically educate ourselves and move our movement forward. Also, Kwame Ture will be signing books, his reprinting of Black Power, The Politics of Liberation. All of you who buy a book here today can have that signed by Kwame Ture in the back. And it will be sold for $10. All right. Yes. All right. If you do not join our organization, we urge you to join another organization that is working in the interests of the people. Join Frontline Artists. Where's Zaid? There he is. Okay. You can talk to Zaid about Frontline Artists. Join the African Echoes Study Group. Who do we talk to for that? For the Noonan. Okay. All right. If you like coming to these lectures every week, do the work and help African people and African Echoes and our people to advance. African people cannot survive on hoteps and handshakes. You need to join an organization. And if you don't join an organization, start an organization. But you must be organized if you are serious about moving your people forward. We direct you again to the AAPRP table. Pick up and read our literature. We challenge you to stand up in direct defiance to our enemies and join our organization. They don't like it when you join our organization. We ask that you leave your name along with a current address and phone number so that we can contact you about our upcoming programs. We urge you to attend the video and discussion programs, as they'll provide an opportunity for you to get to know us better and come to understand the great importance of constant political education. It's organization that helped the Eritrean people to liberate their land and bring them to the point of strength where they are now calling for the dissolution of all the European-imposed borders on the Horn of Africa. Pan-Africanism is on the move. It is organization that has solidified the resolve of the Pan-Africanist Congress of Azania and the Azanian people against the terrorist, racist, settler colonial regime of South Africa. It is the strategic and tactical organization of the Azanian People's Liberation Army that brings a capitalist apartheid regime closer to its death. One settler, one settler, one settler. Thank you. Pan-Africanism is on the move. It is the organization of the worldwide African anti-Zionist front that has brought greater pressure upon the illegal Zionist state of Israel to further the cause of the Palestinian people. Zionism is in cahoots with South Africa, and now they both suffer because Africans are organizing against Zionism. Pan-Africanism is on the move, but then so is capitalism. U.S. troops walked right into Somalia, and recent news reports show that they've got gunboats just off the shore to back up their ground troops. They are shooting at us. So we must organize in permanent all-African revolutionary political structures. We are African people, and Africa is our nation. Our nation is under attack on all fronts, and the people await your next move. Forward ever. Thank you.
Just very briefly, Brother mentioned that I belong to Frontline Artists, but I also belong to two other formations. And one you're very familiar with, and that is the Campaign to Free Black Political Prisoners and Prisoners of War in the United States. And you know that we are constantly raising the question of our people properly remembering our freedom fighters, those who dared to stand up to defend the life and integrity of the African community by any means necessary, when a lot of us were just talking that talk and few of us were walking that walk. If we'd ever have any respect, that respect must be predicated on how we demand our freedom fighters be respected. And if there's any lesson that we can learn from our freedom fighters in Zion, that is
years.
Okay. That is they do not make that question separate and apart from any other question they do. They make it central, and they make it central and uncompromising, and I think we should do the same. Also, I do a lot of work with the Vince Ramos Brigade, which is a grassroots human rights project that has been sending people from the States back and forth to revolutionary Cuba for the last 24 years. Now, we learn from Kwame Nkrumah the concept of liberated zones. And if we look very closely at this New World Order agenda that we are living under, we find that in the Western Hemisphere there ain't but one liberated zone, and that is Cuba. Okay? And we need to understand who our friends are and who our enemies are. We need to stop letting this monster and his monstrous, or the monstrosity of his cultural arm or propaganda arm define for us and our children who our enemies are. Cuba's our natural ally. Bold ally did more to defend the integrity of African soil on African soil, right, than most of us ever even dream about most of the time. So we need to understand who our friends are and who our enemies are. For those of you who are interested in witnessing and participating in what it means to live and be a part of an entire society that is built on, predicated on, and will defend its own integrity to death, the whole notion of by any means necessary, well, in April you get your shot, because the 24th contingent of the Vince Ramos Brigade is going to make such a move. So if there are any of you who are in the House who are interested in witnessing such a process in a first-hand way, you ain't got to just take it from me. Check it out yourself. Yeah, the ancestor that inspires much about it, to think for yourself, learn for yourself, see for yourself. We invite you to check this particular process out for yourself. And I was just handed a note that on Tuesday, February 9th, there's a secret file on J. Edgar Hoover. There's a showing that's coming on Channel 13 at 9 o'clock. But let me say something about this, because see, one thing about individualism or capitalism and trying to confuse us, now they want to hang J. Edgar Hoover out to dry to say that the counterintelligence program was just his baby and just his fault, and they don't do these things anymore. J. Edgar Hoover was doing nothing but carrying out the mandate for the U.S. government. And it was not just the FBI. It was the CIA, and it is still the CIA. It was the National Security Council. It is still the National Security Council. It is the intelligence apparatus of the Defense Department. It is still the intelligence apparatus of the Defense Department. It was the U.S. Information Agency. It is still the U.S. Information. It's the national security state, ultimately, of U.S. imperialism. So don't let them smoke you, because they get ready to make Lee Brown the next FBI director. We told you all about that a few years ago. Okay, they got another house Negro to put you in prison when you get out of line. Understand this? So it ain't just Hoover, though. We think you should check out this dog, because he is a dog, and he was a vicious dog when he came to our struggle and our freedom fighters, and what he did to our freedom fighters. But he wasn't by himself. He had the institutional arms of the state, and he was just expressing in the face and in defiance of your own rights, to your human rights. So if you want to check that out Tuesday, check that out Tuesday, but don't stop there. Thank you. We'll see you in the world.
Thank you, Brother Zahid. Sister Imani backed out to me, but Brother Kwame, I want you to know, Sister Imani came to me very quietly and said, there is no chairman in the party, there is collective leadership. So I stand here very humbly in the presence of the sisters to say collective leadership. Now that I've corrected that, I know you're waiting for the brother, but if I don't do this, Zahid will get me. In Greenwood, Mississippi, in 1966, this brother said, Black Power, and what happened? Are we going to say it? What is it? This is embarrassing. Black Power! Come on, give it up! Black Power! You want the brother? Black Power! 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 Black Power!
for us always a pleasure to be at African Echoes. It seems as if it's becoming an annual event for us. We have been asked, I assume you've received your flyers, we've been asked to speak on the fundamentals for unity, power, and economic independence in Africa. We want to make it clear from the very beginning that when one speaks of independence, one speaks of both political and economic independence. That must be properly understood. And certainly when one speaks of politics and economics, they are intertwined. There is no question about that. But also, while being intertwined, they are separated. There's nothing unusual about that. In life, everything is the same and at the same time not the same. This may sound confusing if one doesn't properly understand life's contradictions. But we repeat, everything is the same and at the same time not the same. All of us in here are the same. We're human beings. All of us in here are the same. We're Africans. But while we're the same, we're also not the same. Some of us are men, some of us are women. Some of us are short, some of us are tall. Some of us are genuinely revolutionary, ready to kill and die for the people. Some of us may be agents sent in here to suffer and make the people die. So while we are the same, we are not the same. So strong is this aspect of everything being the same and not the same, while every human being in the world has fingerprints, every fingerprint is different. Thus, while politics and economics are intertwined the same, they also must be separated. For people who are oppressed, this must be properly understood. Otherwise, it will create a lot of confusion. And the job of the enemy is not only to rip off our labor, not only to steal our resources, but more importantly, to confuse us in our very thinking. Thus, any time a people seek to be free, they must think differently from their oppressors. If you do not think differently from the enemy, you will pose solutions which will help the enemy, and while you think you're advancing, you'll only be standing still while marching time. Thus, this aspect must be properly understood. Of course, Brother Kumba, who spoke before us, and from our discussions here before, the central problem which faces our people is still on the agenda. We are a disorganized people. We are a disorganized people. The first phrase of our talk is called Fundamentals for Unity. We must look at unity properly because some people get confused on what unity is. Some people think that unity is a feeling or a sentiment. Some people even feel that unity can be found in movements of mobilization. Thus you will hear such inaccurate statements as, in the 1960s we were so united. We were not united in the 1960s. That great son of Africa, Osagyefo, Kwame Nkrumah, says that unity presupposes organization. Simply put, a people cannot be united unless they are organized. Thus, anytime one speaks of unity, one must speak of organization. And if there is no organization, there is no unity at all. Of course, there may be fragments of it, aspects of it. Of course, when we come to speak about our people's struggle, we must look at our people and their struggle. We must not listen to the interpretations from those outside. We must not even take facts from the outside, but we must look precisely at the struggles of our people. This will give us the directions. Let me give you an example. We know that all people who are oppressed will struggle for their liberation. It is a scientific law that wherever there is oppression, there is resistance. Or, in cold science, for every action, there has to be a reaction. So once the people are oppressed, there must be a reaction, resistance to the oppression. This resistance is constant, even if you cannot see it with the naked eye. A brother the other day, same age as I, we were speaking in Baltimore, Maryland, he said, you know, Brother Kwame, he said, I was down the streets with y'all in the 60s, I was in the Army, but I got touched by it, and I want to tell you something, since I've been out of the Army, we ain't been doing nothing. I said, really? He said, no. I said, well, is that so? He said, we ain't doing nothing. I said, really? I said, were you in Baltimore in 1960? Yeah, I was here in the Army. I said, did you dream in your wildest dreams that in 1990 you would have an African mayor in Baltimore, Maryland? He said, no, I think about it, but we got one, but it don't mean nothing. I said, yeah, we got that, we ain't even doing nothing. Just imagine when we start doing something. Since the 1960s, we've done nothing. They've given us 320 mayors of the biggest cities in the country. We've done nothing. Since the 1960s, we've done nothing. They've given us all sorts of visibility all over. We've done nothing. Do you know what will happen when we do something? Thus, it is clear for us to understand the resistance all the time. The job of the enemy is to confuse you into thinking that your people are doing nothing, so you too will do nothing. But of course, a conscious man, a conscious woman recognize that if the people are doing nothing, they must do more. They must do more. Of course, our people's movement must be properly analyzed. A people, we say, will fight just on instinct, and certainly we fight on instinct. Since we've been brought to this country, we've been resisting without organization, just sporadic, and we've gone from burning plantations to burning cities. All of this without any organization at all. And we will tell you that without organization, the oppression continues to heighten on capitalist America. Not only will we go from burning plantations to burning cities, we will burn the nation, because the people who are oppressed will be free and will do anything to be free, including giving their lives and burning their houses. But we must move this instinct to a higher level, organized level. If not, we make errors. Bourgeois historians make the statement that history repeats itself. History cannot repeat itself. If people can repeat their errors, yes, but history does not repeat itself. Let us look at the rebellion of Watts in 1965. In 1965, Africans rose up in Watts and burnt Watts down. They created havoc in America. In 1992, the same Africans rise up on a greater level and create havoc in Los Angeles. People may think that history is repeating itself. No. The people are repeating their errors on the vastly changed conditions. What are the changed conditions? In 1965, there was no African mayor in Los Angeles. As a matter of fact, it was a white mayor, racist. His name was Sam Yorty. In 1992, when the Africans rose up, there was an African who was mayor. His name was Tom Bradley, and he came through the ranks of the police. He was a police lieutenant. The fiches know about police brutality more than Yorty. But under his reign, police terrorism was higher than it was under Yorty's reign. These are statistical facts. In 1965, when the Africans in Watts rebelled, there was no African who was chairperson of the Democratic Party. In 1992, an African, biologically anyway, by the name of Ron Brown, was chairperson of the Democratic Party. In 1965, when the Africans in Watts rebelled, there were no African mayors. In 1992, there were over 320 of the largest cities in this country, in New York, in Newark, in